Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, we're in the studio. We are live. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Going to be talking about all the latest Manchester United news, all the incomings. I'll sell all the incomings. There ain't any. But we'll talk about transfers we're being linked with, and we'll also talk about sales as well, because player sales is a big one for Manchester United this summer. So we'll be getting into all that. So make sure you are joining us. Good to see people getting in the chats already. Mick Hullahan, Maurice Marshall, Harry, Kevin Aitchison, Jack Ellis, some of the usual suspects too. Cjo James John is in there. We're going to talk, first of all, about Jadon Sancho. As you saw from the thumbnail there, there's something about a fee, about how he wants a severance package. Now, it says here on Sports Witness, Jadon Sancho moved to Juve, closing in agreement on €25 million transfer, but player said to want minimum €5 million severance package from Manchester United. Well, to be fair to Jadon Sancho, I think he's earned it. Yeah, he's done so well at Manchester United, and he's given his all for the club. It's only right we give this, what can only be described as a club legend, the send-off and the package that he deserves. Yes, in case you're wondering, I'm joking. £5 million is a severance package when you've done the square root of sod all for about 3 years for us is a bit of a joke, but this is where we're at, because he's on massive money. Juve aren't probably going to give him anywhere near the money he was on at Manchester United. Somehow we need to make this work. If it has to be a severance package, I'm not exactly keen on it, but if it gets Jadon Sancho out the door, and ultimately at the end of it all, Manchester United end up with some money from the Jadon Sancho sale, then I'll accept it. I won't like it, but I'll accept it, because we need to start moving some of these players on. It is getting farcical at Manchester United. We have got players who are not invited to training, but they go at training on their own. Others are training at home. Some are now being allowed into training. Some are going into training through the back door when Ruben Amorim's left through the front door. It's becoming preposterous. So we need to sort it out. We need to move some of these players on. And also, let's not forget, a lot of these players, well, all the players we want to move on, are good players. This is the thing that people are forgetting, or a lot of people are ignoring. Jadon Sancho, whether you like him or not, is a very talented footballer, and he has had some decent games over the last couple of years. He might not have had him for Manchester United, but he played his part in Chelsea winning the Europa Conference League, scoring in the final. He helped Dortmund get to a Champions League final. You might go, who cares, Champions League final, what do you do? How many have we been in the last, 12 years? Well, no, hang on a minute, longer than that. 14 years, isn't it, since we were last in one. So we can't just ignore those attributes. Still a good player, just overpaid, and he's, in my opinion, really good enough to do it at a consistent level for a top Premier League club. So I want him to move on. Go to Juve, I think, would actually suit him. And if we have to pay him a severance package, so be it. It's just a little bit frustrating that we have allowed ourselves to be put in this position. I'm hoping that Ineos are going to do things differently, because this definitely feels like the sort of remnants of the Ed Woodward era that we're still trying to clean up, we're still having to deal with. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Chris Griffith says, nice shirt, Jay. Thank you, Chris. It was a gift off my mate Al. Big shout out to Al. Paul Ogden 27 says, if he doesn't show up for pre-season, then fire him. Manchester Maverick says, let's go, or start a GoFundMe page for the rat. Oh dear. Sancho is nothing more than a leech, says Mark. Caleb Deturl says, Sancho can pay me to leave. Pee off. Lots of prefer. I like this. John Gary Navida says, F him. I apologise for the profanity. Well, you didn't swear, so you're all right. Glenn F in the chat as well. Brian Smith says, just get rid of him. Yeah, I think we need to move him on, don't we? And it's not the most ideal situation, but it is a solution to the Jadon Sancho problem, in it, just moving him on and getting some money in, and hopefully reinvesting that money into a player that's actually useful for Manchester United, because Jadon Sancho hasn't been useful for Manchester United for about 2 years, to be honest with you. Dark Elzium says, freedom if you pay me $5 million. Do you remember when he commented on Marcus Rashford's post saying freedom? I've said this before and I'll say it again. Jadon Sancho's been one of the worst signings in Manchester United's history. I don't mean he's one of the worst players. I mean, in terms of the amount we paid for him, in terms of the wages we've given him, and in terms of what he's actually done for Manchester United, and the drama we've had with him, I think he's up there with as bad as any signing we've made. It's probably a debate between him and Alexis Sanchez, who's actually the worst pound for pound. But it is a debatable point. Excuse me, I think I'm going to sneeze. Let's talk about, excuse me, Marcus Rashford. All this talk of Jadon Sancho has made me sneeze. Florian Plettenberg, friend of the channel, he's been on Stretford Paddock a few times. He's tweeted, as revealed on the 6th of July, the priority for Barcelona is Marcus Rashford. Barca want to try again for Rashford and are prepared to go all in. A few weeks ago, Luis Diaz was priority number one, as reported, but Liverpool rejected the approach. Rashford is now the clear number one target. Talks are ongoing. Green light from Hansi Flick was already given days ago. The 27-year-old is set to leave Manchester United. Rashford wants to move to Barca. It looks like there might be something in this. Barca wanted Diaz as their priority. Well, I think if we're going to do it in the sort of pecking order, first I think they wanted Nico Williams. He's staying at Athletic Club. Then they wanted Luis Diaz. Looks like Liverpool are just not entertaining that one. So you can see... this is the 6th of July. So, on the 6th of July, Plettenberg tweeted, understand Barcelona want to try again for Rashford. A move for Diaz is currently very unlikely. So, Barca reopened talks with Rashford. There's some details of his contract there. Expires in 2028. Rashford has many inquiries and Barcelona one of them. This move to Barca could be perfect. It could be perfect for Marcus Rashford because he's going to one of the biggest clubs in the world. I actually think he'll suit La Liga. I think if he gets his head in the game, he can do really well there and score goals and maybe get himself back in England set up. And I think hopefully Manchester United can get some decent money for him. And Barcelona can be there or thereabouts in terms of his wages. I don't know what Lewandowski's on, but I bet he's on a lot of money. So it might not break their bank to give Marcus Rashford similar wages to what he's getting at Manchester United. So who knows? But this to me feels like, it makes sense. Doesn't mean it'll happen. Not everything that makes sense happens, but I quite like this idea. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Do you think it should happen? Do you think it will happen? What do you think about Marcus Rashford going to Barcelona? David, I don't know why I said it like you were Spanish. David Shankland says, regarding Barca, what's all in there? Finances are more dire than ours. You'd be taking a loan at best and no obligation. If it is a loan at best, that's not great, but with the amount of money that Marcus Rashford's on, if they up his wages, he's on about £1 million a month? Maybe a bit more. So I know it's not ideal. You want money coming in for him, don't you? But getting him off the wage bill is still huge. I think when he went to Villa, we were paying, a third of his wages or a quarter of his wages still. So it wasn't great, but it was something. If you can get him off the wage bill, again, that's great. Or it's not great, sorry. Again, it's an improvement on the current situation. But ideally, you'd want to move him on. Also, this is the time for him to move on. He's had a loan move at Villa and he did all right. He's 27. He's not got a future at Manchester United as long as Ruben Amorim's the manager. Even if Ruben Amorim leaves, I don't know about his future at Manchester United. So I do feel as though with Marcus Rashford, it probably is best if he moves on. I think this is a solution. I think this could work. We'll have to wait and see whether it happens, though. Who knows? What's this? Movidian says, Jay, I just have a question. What, for 40 days, what the F do these people in their suits come to the office and done every day before leaving? Oh, sorry. Talking about the Bumo deal there, I think, because it's been however many, 40 days, what's been going on. We'll get into that right now, actually. Let's talk about Brian and Bumo. So I like these opinion pieces from the Evening News because these are much better than the news pieces that they do, because it says here, you can see opinion, Manchester United are now dangerously close to letting Ruben Amorim down. This is from Steve Railston in the Evening News. What they do with these opinion pieces, they sort of collate some of the news and then give you an opinion on it. It's much better than a lot of the news stories they churn out. So they're saying about the fact that Manchester United still haven't made Brian Bumo a United player. At this sort of impasse, it was 5 weeks ago, I think, when we made the first bid. It looked like we were going to have a good start to the summer when we brought in Mateus Cunha on the 1st of June. Then we put in a bid for Brian Bumo. You think, actually, this is looking positive. However, it has stalled with Brian Bumo. Plus, then you've got the issue with Gacho, Rashford, Malacia, Sancho, Anthony, all still being at the club. It isn't great, is it, from a Manchester United point of view, at this current time? It may improve. We may get Brian Bumo done over the next week or so, and everyone's like, oh, that's been much better. Then we may make some sales as well, and everyone will be happy. But as it stands right now, Manchester United haven't done enough. You want to see a little bit more from us in terms of sales and in terms of the players coming in as well. Also, when you look at other clubs are doing bits. They're moving in the transfer window. You look at Arsenal, they've brought in, is it Zubamendi and the kid from Brentford, is it Norgood? What's his name? Norgard, not Norgood. Norgard, thank you. Spurs have brought in Mohamed Kudus, and they're in for Morgan Gibbs-White. And they confirmed the signing of, I think, Matisse Tell, who went there on loan last season. You look at City, is it Rangers, Shirky, at Nori. They've brought in a load of players. Liverpool went big with Florian Wirtz. They got in Frimpong, they got in Kirkes. I mean, what are we? Arsenal as well got Madueke. Chelsea will be doing all sorts. I can't even keep up with Chelsea. They do that many transfers, but they'll be doing bits. Don't you worry about that. And it just seems like United have done, you know, a decent bit of business with Mateus Cunha. Obviously, we knew Diego Leon was coming in. We brought in another youngster as well, but nothing much happening. So, yeah, we need to get our finger out. Saeed Mohamed Abu Dada says, if Sancho is adamant about the salary, then those transfer request news are fake, because if a player puts in a request, club can skip the payment, right? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what is happening with Jadon Sancho in terms of transfer requests and all the rest of it. It's all a bit vague in it, but I think the idea is United are going to have to sort out the wage issue, and the way to do that might be giving him a bit of a severance package, which is ridiculous considering the lack of anything we've seen from Jadon Sancho in a United shirt over the last few years, but this is where we're at. Adiman000 says, why has Garnacho been given green light to come back for training? Yeah, Garnacho is back in training. I think he was given the opportunity to do that. I think he did that post, didn't he? Yesterday was like he was sat on a private jet saying, I'm coming. You can see it, I think United exclusive tweeted it via someone else saying Alejandro Garnacho has been given permission to join his Manchester United teammates in pre-season training at Carrington. Look, it's not ideal. We know he's going to go, or we want to get rid of him. We know he probably wants to leave. There's talk if he wants to stay in England, he wants to stay in the Premier League. Chelsea would be the obvious destination. Whether that happens, we'll have to wait and see. But he certainly doesn't seem to have much of a future at Manchester United. There was that talk of, well, it wasn't talk, he did it. He gave the interview, didn't he, end of the season after the Europa League final, where he basically said the team had been crap, and he was fuming about the fact he only got 20 minutes in the Europa League final. I was a bit disappointed in that myself, but I don't think he went about it the right way. The manager's not happy with him. Loads of reports that the manager said you better pray that you find a new club. So it seems as though the relationship between him and Ruben Amorim has broken down. Garnacho's done too much nonsense, hasn't he? He's done too much nonsense on socials, comments in the media and all the rest of it. I've stuck up for Garnacho. I've defended him quite a lot, but I think it's time for him to go. I'm not going to, bury my head in the sand. S. Madison says, I wouldn't pay Sancho to leave. I'd send him to the Resis for last year of his contract. We need money though, don't we? It's all well and good saying, I'd send him to the reserves, and I get the sentiment, but Manchester United need money. Akash K says, I will be staggered if Ruben Amorim brings him back into the fold. Garnacho, that is. Yeah, I think you want players to train, you want them to move on. You don't just want them to sort of stagnate. You want them to keep fit and then get a transfer. But I don't think he's got much of a future at Manchester United. I don't think Garnacho, Sancho, or Rashford have got any future at Manchester United, to be honest. Glenn F says, well, he's the only one worth any real money, so better to play make-believe with Garnacho. Garnacho is the player out of all the ones we've got that you think we could actually make a bit of a cash for, we can make profit on a lot of them, but you could get some actual decent money for Garnacho, maybe 50, 60 million. We'll have to wait and see. Let's talk about Victor Gyökeres. We're not talking about him for a while. This is in the Metro. Gyökeres considers Man United U-turn as Arsenal transfer stalls. Bore off. Seriously. Right. He's not though, is he? Right. Gyökeres is reconsidering a move to Manchester United. He isn't, because there isn't an offer from Manchester United. Right. So you're not going to Manchester United. We haven't got the money for Bumo. We're trying to get that over the line. Have we suddenly found another 70 million for Victor Gyökeres? No. So that's just nonsense. According to Correa de Mania, Gyökeres is rethinking his next move, and while the striker still prefers a switch to Arsenal, he's said to be giving United a second look. Let me save you the miver, Victor. You're not coming to Old Trafford because we haven't bid for you and we haven't got any dough. So forget it. Just go to Arsenal, because if you're not going to stay at Sporting, the only other show in town is the move to Arsenal. Honestly. Kelvin Murray says, get well soon, Jay. Thank you. Let's talk about Alvaro Carreras. Alvaro Carreras to Real Madrid. Here we go. This is from Romano yesterday. He's got a Real Madrid, I think 50 million euros in multiple installments. As soon as Man United confirm they don't activate buyback clause, Alvaro will travel. We get some of that transfer, I think, which could help in an ideal world to get the Bumo deal over the line. Who knows? Just on Bumo as well, there's another sort of twist in the tail, if you will. Looks like Johan Visa is going to Forest. David Ornstein says Nottingham Forest renewed pursuit of Johan Visa. Fresh offer made to Brentford for 28-year-old Congo striker. Bid falls under the 25 million Forest were prepared to pay in January window and considerably lower than Brentford valuation in excess of 50 million. That's asking a lot for a 28-year-old. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But the idea is, if Brentford sell Visa, does that strengthen their resolve when it comes to Bumo, because they don't need the money? We'll have to wait and see. Lots of ifs and buts and maybes, but it does make a little bit of sense. John D says €5 million payoff to Sancho as long as we are getting a fee for him. It's a bargain. Grisha Winner says, I think Gacho is back because we want to give Napoli the idea that we don't need to sell him anyway. Maybe they will up the price, but if they are offering 45 million for him as reported, we should take it. We'll have to see what's happening with Napoli. There's conflicting reports about just how seriously they were in for him. So, yeah, I'm not so sure. Dalot is the number 2. Diogo Dalot has officially switched to number 2 for Manchester United. Makes sense. Lindelof's gone. Dalot's our first choice right back. Right back is number 2 position. He's taking the number 2 from number 20. I get it. I don't think there's any reason to lose our minds over it. Makes sense. He plays when he's fit. So, yeah, number 2 for Diogo Dalot. Number 10 for Mateus Cunha. We'll have to wait and see who's joining him in what positions and what numbers. Marcus Rashford watch. Now, I was just very nice to the Evening News. I stuck up for him and said I like their opinion pieces. And I think it's Stephen Railston who's done the opinion piece. But Marcus Rashford used the back gate to report to Carrington. Ruben Amorim departed through the front. I mentioned this earlier. We're now in the sort of Marcus Rashford watch stage of journalism, aren't we? It's all getting a bit pantomime. Yeah. We just need him to move on, honestly. Get him moved on. Get Garnacho moved on. Get Jadon Sancho moved on. Get Tyrell Malacia moved on. And get Anthony moved on. Get some money in and buy some players and get United moving up the bleeding table, because I cannot cope with another season like the last one. Going to be back later on today with The Brew. I think it's going to be me, Steve, and Anna McCullough. I think he's joining us for that one. So make sure if you're not doing so already, you are hitting like, share and subscribe. We got to 805,000 subscribers, as you can see. Let's get to 810. Big thank you to everyone who got involved in the chat and the comments. Hit that like button as well, please, people, before you go. I'm Jay Moyer. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.